Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by in another one in the before and after set. So without much ado, as they say, let's get going and look at the first plant. Okay, this is the one with the strange shaped canes. This is Dendrobium findleyanum. Those are last year's canes there at the back, and these are this year's canes. So this one's grown well for me this year. It's, in addition to the canes, as important is a pretty good root system this year. It's never had a root system as good as that, and as a consequence of the root system, I would suggest it's grown much better canes this year. It's also got a little kiki coming on there. New plant, yay! Now I may just add that one to the mount, but then I could start a new plant, and when it pushes a new growth, it's a sellable plant. I mean, this is if you can grow the resting type dendrobiums, then this is a good one to have. The flowers are wonderful. I'll let you know if I ever see them, because this one's never bloomed for me. Despite being mature enough, it just needs the rest, which it will get. So let's go back and have a look at that one and see what it looked like in May. So at the start of the growing season, you can see the canes that were grown in the previous year. They're the dominant canes on the picture. The new growths are just sort of showing, so a late starter. And yeah, I mean, it did well in the previous year, and you can see not that good a root system at this point in time. Okay, so there we go. I'm pleased with that one. The growth this year has been good, as I said, with the root system as well. Coming on nicely. With a rest, we're getting fogged. With a rest, I think that one's going to bloom in the early spring, and then we'll push it on again next year. So I like the progress on that one. I'm pleased with that. Next. Okay, this is one of my Neofinetias. I know they're now called Vandas, but not in my place they're not. This is, any Japanese viewers, I'll apologise in advance. Fujiyamara, I think, or something like that. This has pushed out quite good roots this year, and it's got a lot of fans on it. As Neofinetias go, this is quite a miniature. You know, it's the clone name there lends itself to being a very, very small, tidy plant. No blooms on this one yet. I mean, that is blooming size, and it may do it now with the slightly cooler temperatures. That might trigger the blooms. It might wait till next year. I don't know. But I like the plant, whether it blooms or not. It's growing well. I like the look of that one. Okay, so back in May, this one lived on a piece of driftwood. But the volume of moss was not doing the roots any good, so I decided to take it off and mount it more traditionally, shall we say. It did look nice on the driftwood, but it wasn't growing as well as it should. So I decided to take it off. You can see there's not a huge amount of root activity, and it's actually separate plants at this stage of the game. So as you can see, it's done well this year. I'm pleased. Okay, next. Okay, this is my other Neofinetia. This is a nice variegated leaf form, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that one. So there's some things I try, I'm leaving that one. But this is the one that got hit with the rain mix quite badly. Strange that it was in the same place as the other one, which wasn't affected. So it just goes to show that that particular problem was specific to some plants and affected others minimally or not at all. Anyway, that one's, it's growing well. That did have blooms earlier in the year. So we'll pop back and have a look and see what that one looked like at the start of the year. So this is what the plant looked like earlier in the year. Obviously less fans on it. But the point I really want to make on this one specifically is look at the roots. They were white, they were clean, they had their lovely growing tips on them, and yeah, that's what the rain mix did to my roots. It messed them up, as you'll see when we go back to how they look now. Anyway, it was a nice plant, it was growing well, and at least it bloomed for me, so I'm pleased with the way it progressed. It's done well over this year. Okay, so there you go. I'm pleased with the way it's growing. I'm not pleased with what happened to the roots, but they will be replaced in time, and the manky ones can be trimmed off or whatever, just to make it look nice again as it did earlier in the year. Okay, so that's my 2 Neos. I don't plan on getting any more. I don't need any more. I believe 2 is enough. It's certainly not something that I want a collection of. I'm quite happy with the 2 I've got. Okay, on to the next one. Right, this is my Orangis alysi. I've got a problem with this plant, and I'm a little worried. I'm not panicking, but this is its new leaf. That's coming on nicely, but this is the previous one, and it's split, and it's got some marks on it. If you look at the marks below the leaf, they go right through. Now, I'm not sure that was insect damage, because I'd have seen them. But the leaf below is worse. Yeah, you can see that there. Now that's dry. I'm not going to touch it because I'm in the middle of doing things. But the underside of that leaf is not nice at all. Again, those marks are dry. Now I believe that was some sort of fungal infection that's stopped. But I'm keeping a very close eye on this one. I don't let it touch anything else. But it's pushing out a new root at the back, and it's pushing out another new root at the front. This is the one that had the flower spike that took 11 months to mature and open. So it is a slow grower. Signs of new root growth down here too. So it's pushing, oh, there's one around there as well. So it's pushing some new roots, and it's growing a new leaf. I do have a problem on those 2 leaves, and I will keep a close eye on them. But as I said, the problem occurred and stopped. So I'm just watching at the moment. I'm not going to hack the 2 leaves off or anything silly, not yet anyway. But if I see that starting to spread, then I will do something about it. What I believe is that this got too much light, and that is a form of burn. Yeah, it's not water damage. I mean, where this one lived was quite near the roof, and I think I've just kept it too bright. Anyway, let's pop back and see what that one looked like in May. So you can see that's what the plant looked like. It's quite a more compact looking plant, but look at that flower spike. That flower spike was 6 months old at this point, and still no buds showing. But you can see it had a new root at the time. The flower spike was pushing on. I was very pleased with the way it was going back in May. The plant looked very, very fresh and green, and obviously it didn't have the problems with the 2 leaves that I've shown you. Okay, so that's Orangis alysi. That's come down out of the roof, and it now lives there on that post where it gets dappled sunlight in the morning, and then that's its lot. So it's now in a more like a slightly higher than Phalaenopsis light, but not bright, and it's also, as a consequence, not getting as much heat because it's away from the roof. I'm going to go and research this one and see how it's supposed to be. I've got a really good book dedicated to Orangis, so I'll get some good information out of that. It could have been too warm, it could have been too bright, it could have been both. But whatever it was, the damage is done, I'll live with it, and it's growing on and pushing some new roots. So, doing okay. I mean, it's quite a large plant. It can grow quite a bit bigger than that though. It's one of the larger Orangis. Okay, these are my 2 Rhynchostylis giganteas. I got a second one because I didn't think the first one was doing very well, and the second one was quite a nice plant and didn't cost me much, so I thought I will have 2. And quite honestly, if I get them to bloom, the blooms are quite spectacular, lovely fragrance and everything, and the more plants you've got, the more chance you've got of either successive blooming or a couple out together, whatever. So that's the route I took. I mean, this one's growing okay. That's my leaf there, I believe, although we'll find out in a minute. I forget what this one looked like because it's relatively slow growing. But it's got a new leaf coming. It has this funny shape to the ends of the leaves. I haven't been cutting it. That's what they look like. Yeah, and this was in an open basket with no media, and it was drying far too fast. So I've just put some chunky bark in the open basket just so that some moisture stays around the roots a little bit longer. Still dries pretty quick though. And I did the same with this one. Again, it's in an open basket. It allows the air to get to the roots. I think this one's pushing a new leaf. Yep, new leaf just starting down in there. And yeah, I mean, that's pushed some roots out the bottom of the basket. It's doing okay. So we'll go back and have a look at, I'm not sure I had both of them in May, but I'm sure I had one. But we'll go back and take a look. So back in May, you can see it was in a totally open basket with no media at all. There was only one at the time, and it had that mark on that leaf. Now those bottom two leaves have since gone. They sort of died back, but they've been replaced. And it had some dead roots which I trimmed off, and some browny roots which have gone in the new bark media and actually started to branch out. So they did need a bit more moisture around them. So yeah, I mean, that huge root's still apparent, but there we go. So there we go, Rhynchostylis gigantea. And it would be nice to get some blooms on one or both of these during next year. As I say, they've established a reasonable root system. They are growing new leaves, so they're becoming more mature, but these are new to me. I don't know how big they have to get before they bloom, but to me they look reasonable size. And I've seen ones with the same number of leaves actually in bloom, but you know, we always have to bear in mind those could have been forced in perfect conditions and have bloomed at a younger stage. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but hopefully next year we'll have some blooms. We'll see how it goes. Okay, this is Maxillaria tenuifolia, the coconut orchid, although mine don't seem to smell of coconut. Everybody else's does, but mine don't. This was a couple of pieces I broke off of the mother plant and stuck on a mount because I just wanted to try something different for it. And I don't believe it's growing incredibly well because it's on the mount. I believe it's where the mount lives is why it's pulled on so well this year. It's got new growths everywhere, and in theory, I mean, it's even getting twin growths either side of a pseudobulb. So it's growing well. So as I say, I believe it's where it is, and because it's in the roof and I can get at it, it's classed as a mount, therefore it is in the daily category, although it doesn't normally get watered daily unless it's incredibly hot. But it's getting more water than the mother plant. It's definitely getting a lot more light, and it seems to be doing much better for it. So I think these offshoots have actually bloomed. I think it had one flower, but it's getting to be a bit of a beast. It's getting quite large. It's touching the roof where it hangs, so I'm going to have to extend the hook and lower it slightly, then it will start bumping into other things. So accommodating it's becoming a bit of a nuisance. But when they bloom, they're lovely blooms and they last a nice long time. And hopefully next year, because that plant is doing its butcher's dog impression. It's a strong, sturdy, well-growing plant now. As a consequence, it won't be using all its energy just to produce the blooms, in which case it should be able to pump the fragrance out as well. Yeah? But we'll see. Let's go back and have a look and see what that looked like earlier in the year. So, this is what it looked like back in May. It was actually in bloom, so that's nice. So at least we get to see the blooms, and the bit of mist floating around is because the foggers were on. But you can see there wasn't a substantial root system on it. There's some signs of some new roots pushing out there. And basically it was quite a nice plant in May. It's just come on so much better since then. So there you get a good look at it. It had two blooms on it. I think it only ever had 2 blooms on it. That's me taking a sniff to see if it smells of coconut, and it didn't. So there we go, that's what it looked like then. So there we go, that's a happy plant. It's growing well, it's strong, the new growths are pushing on at a hell of a rate, and there are, just a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, around a dozen new growths. Now if they all bloom, that should be quite a show, but we'll have to wait for next year for that. That I am certain of. Okay, there we go. Okay, this will do for this one, so I'll end on this one. Severe scale damage on this one. The mealybugs don't touch it, but the scale love it, and they took a long time to get under control. There may still be some lurking in there, but I've basically decked most of them. Now there's actually a bud coming on this one. This has lovely flowers when it decides to bloom, and now that the scale are leaving it alone to a greater extent, the new growths should push on better. You know, I mean, this is a relatively new growth. It looks awful, but it's got a sheath. It still could bloom despite the state of those leaves. And I mean, that new growth just got hacked before it even got going. You know, they got at that while the growth was very small. Okay, so it's not the best looking plant, but it's still capable of blooming. And it grows new growths rapidly. Continuously grows new growths, you can see round there and in there. There's new growths all over this plant, around the back here as well, new growths. So it pushes a lot of new growths out, so it can replace its older growths relatively quickly, you know, in say comparison with a Cattleya. So it's an active grower, it grows well, and it seems to like being on a mount. It's another one I need to do a bit of work on, because I need to know, is it happy in those higher temperatures near the roof? Do I have to put up with those higher temperatures to actually match the high light? Is it getting too much light? Well, probably not, because the leaves are a nice colour, it does bloom, and it's been up there all year round. So I would say it's quite happy with its backward view on the world, because let me see, just quickly while I'm at it. That's the front view of the world, yeah? That side of that hanging rack faces the light. So that's Tolumnias and the like up there, you know, and they get a lot of light. However, round the back, although it's bright because it's in the roof, it's not as bright. So that's what I mean by the back of the world, and that's where this one has been living. Now it might need a bit more light, but I don't think so. It produces blooms, it's happy, and it grows well. So we'll just go back and have a quick look at how that looked at the earlier part of the year. Okay, back in May, this plant didn't look a lot different. I mean, the setback with the scale has really slowed its growth up, but nonetheless it's still pushing up the new growths. But yeah, that's what it looked like in May. No blooms at the time, but looking okay. So there we go then, that's Prosthechea garciana. Probably changed its name, but that's what's on the label, so that's what it's getting called. Okay, and as I say, that'll do for this one. Another set in the before and after set, and I may do some more, I may not. I've yet to decide, but there are still quite a few things that that haven't been included in this little set. So there is still room to do some more, but until I get my internet back, nobody's actually going to see them. So there we go then, that's the end of this one, looking at plants as they are and plants as they were in May. Okay, so a growing season. We'll see how we go, whether I do some more. Thanks for dropping by, see you next time.